Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be platinuming Red Dead Redemption. For anybody who hasn't played Red Dead Redemption, you play as an outlaw turned family man named John Marston. He has to kill all of his former gang members to save his family's life. A government official named Edgar Ross assigns John Marston into a town called Armadillo. This is because they have a lead on one of the former members' whereabouts, this being the location of Bill Williamson. He's located south in a region called Fort Mercer. But first you need to find your guide named Jake. He takes John up to the edge of the fort and then he leaves, making John go to the fort by himself. John then walks up to the gate to ask Bill if he can turn himself in. Bill, knowing how strong his army is and lack thereof of the police department around Armadillo, he knows that this isn't a worry for him. This then leads to John getting shot and simultaneously being left to rot in the sand. After laying there for a couple of hours, two farmers try to save John. And because this is the first mission, we also get a trophy for completing it. Before we move on with the story, let's talk about what's needed for this platinum. There are 52 trophies in Red Dead Redemption, and collecting all of them will take around 40 hours. It also says this game needs 2 playthroughs, but you just need to play through the regular story and also the DLC. There's only one missable trophy, that being keeping your horse alive for 20 missions straight. Now let's get back onto the story. John wakes up in a bed and is greeted by a person named Bonnie McFarlane. She was one of the people who saved John outside of Fort Mercer. Bonnie then asks John Marston if he can help around the ranch. This is because she spent a fair bit of cash helping him get restored, because even though it's 1911, those hospital bills are still ridiculous. Most of the missions in the ranch are just basic introductions to the mechanics of this game. The first mechanics you learn is how to ride a horse and also how to hunt animals, and then for some unknown reason you have a race with Bonnie the next day. I almost lost this race because I think my horse pulled a Terry Rozier and started betting against himself, or at least this is the only explanation I could have, because my horse jumped up on a hill and then didn't want to go down. But I still won because Bonnie's basically Kyle Kuzma of horse racing. After the race, we then headed back all the way to Armadillo. This is so John can ask the marshal if he can help him with Bill Williamson. The marshal then explains to John that there's already too many things happening around the town. John then throws out an idea that if he helps the police force, they'll help him later down the line with Bill Williamson. The marshal then agrees, taking John to an outpost starting the next mission. This brings you to the first combat section in the game. The combat in this game is pretty simple and isn't that hard. The only thing you really need to worry about is the health or lack thereof of John Marston. If you're playing on the normal difficulty, realistically you shouldn't be dying. Anyways, this mission ends by you shooting the legs out of this gang member, making the marshal take him back to the jail cell in the town. Once making it back to the jail, the marshal gets notified of another gang being spotted around the town. So this starts another mission where you as John have to go and help the police force to take them out. Just like the last one, once all the enemies are taken out, it ends the mission. In the next cutscene, you are asked by the marshal if you can find somebody who's been missing named Wes Dickens. He explains to John that he's a snake oil merchant and is probably dead because one of his customers was unsatisfied. You then make your way to his last known location and find him pretty easily. You find out that he is supposed to be injured and get him back onto his carriage. This starts a mission where you have to escort him back to Armadillo while being pursued by a lot of his angry customers. Once getting back to Armadillo, you bring him back to a doctor, ending the mission. The next few missions are held in McFarlane's ranch. Most of these missions are just tutorials on how to capture animals and tame horses. Also, the main reason why I'm not showing this part is because the footage that I originally recorded got corrupted. The reason why I have a new horse now is because I do. The last mission I did was learning how to break a horse. Like many others, this is the horse that I'll use to complete 20 missions with. In the next mission, it has you heading east to a chapel in Armadillo. This is where you meet a grave robber named Seth. Just putting it lightly, this dude is weird. He's basically Smeagol if he was a modern day crackhead, and instead of going after rings, he was trying to find a treasure map. Why John needs Seth is because he knows people in the inside of Fort Mercer, and if he's doing something weird around the area, they kinda don't really bat an eye at it. It's kinda like when you see somebody tweaking out in public, you kinda just pretend you don't notice them. He agrees to help you under one stipulation, that you help him find a treasure map that he lost the other half to. But first he wants to find the person who lost the map in the first place. His name is Moses, and coincidentally he was arrested. John has to make a diversion so Seth doesn't get shot. What you're supposed to do is take one of their horses, but I decided to hold them at gunpoint. This shockingly didn't work, but after successfully doing it, you meet up with Moses. He tries to escape, but he doesn't get very far. You return him to Seth and let him do the interrogation on him. He folds pretty quickly and he tells you the other half of the map is held in Old Fellow's Rest. You then pay a bounty for stealing the officer's horse, ending the mission. Afterwards, we make our way back to Wes Dickens. This is the first of many missions where you have to finish races as John. This is because Wes Dickens has a magical serum that does absolutely nothing. The only way he can sell it is by making John win races and then selling it to the people who lost. All these races that you have to compete in aren't very hard at all. The only thing you really need to worry about is your horse falling and then dying instantly. After the race, you get a cutscene with Dickens. He then once again sends you on another mission to find somebody. The person you're looking for is an alcoholic named Irish. Before we go and find him though, we have to meet up with Seth. You have to move a body from a graveyard into another graveyard. Why you need to do this, I have absolutely no idea. I googled it and it said he needed to do research on the bodies. If that's not a code word for him doing something really weird with them, I don't know what is. Anyways, you help this guy on his perverted mission and go about your day. While on my way to meet Irish, I stumbled upon the McFarlane Ranch once again. I did a mission where you have to herd a lot of cows that have escaped. After watching a whole bunch of cows committing suicide, you come back to the ranch and see that one of the barns is set on fire. You being John Marston, you climb inside and save all the horses stuck in the bottom. Right before the mission ends, you get a cutscene of Bonnie McFarlane thanking you. Afterwards, I made my way back to Armadillo. You enter the sheriff's station and find out that Bonnie McFarlane has been lost. And while trying to figure out where she went, one of Bill Williams' gang members comes and confronts you. Some of the sheriffs have captured some of his men and he wants them back. He then notes that the only way they'll get Bonnie out for them is if they give up their men. The police force then brings the prisoners to the gang's hideout. But once getting there, they realize that it was an ambush. They have to kill all of Bill's men before Bonnie is killed. John then saves her, ending the mission. In the exact same place, there is a mission for Seth. He has found the other half of his treasure map, unveiling the location of his treasure. He can't get to it, however, because there is a gang residing right on top of it. The map says that the treasure is located in a house that so happens to be heavily guarded. So after clearing out all the enemies, Seth leads you to the treasure. But after opening it, there's nothing in there besides a glass eye. You then leave the house, ending this quest line. John then runs back into Dickens. He again wants some more help selling some of his fraudulent elixirs. And while doing the show, some of the other people who he is sold to comes and confronts him. You then have to escape from all the angry customers. After getting far enough, you get another cutscene with Dickens. He explains that there's another race that he wants to go into. So you show up the next day and proceed to do the race. You complete it pretty easily, finishing the last racing mission in the game. We then finally make it to Armadillo to meet up with Irish. When we find him, he's being beaten up by some of the people that he tried to steal guns from. After John asks for the release of Irish, they say no. And I just want to add, what's with Rockstar naming people after their nationality? There's no way we should have an Irish, a French, and a Welsh in the same mission. After saving Irish, John then asks where this machine gun is held. He then explains that it's held in a cabin near Lake Don Julio. Right before going down and collecting it, Irish says that he's better from a distance. So John clears out the outpost, and once he's done, he enters a cabin and realizes the submachine gun isn't there. After exiting, he also realizes that Irish is nowhere to be seen either. After a little bit of searching, you find him wasted in Benedict Point. You ask him why the machine gun wasn't in the cabin like he promised. He explains that the whiskey makes his brain a little cloudy and he mixes things up. But luckily for John, he remembers where the actual location is, that being in a gang's hideout located in its mine shaft. After taking out all the enemies on the outside, you make it into the mine shaft and make your way down. Once again, after taking out a whole lot of enemies, you find the machine gun. You then push it back up the mine shaft to an elevator where Irish is located. You then fully secure possession of the gun, ending the mission. You then head east to a location called Thieves Landing. You meet up with Irish once again because he got intel on where some of the ammo for the machine gun is. This location is a big giant shipping yard crawling with enemies. Irish also tried to send one of his men in there to find out where the ammunition is being held, but while in there he was found and captured. So John sneaks into the building to try and free Shaky. You make your way downstairs and take out all the enemies in the room with him. After Shaky is released, he tells you where the location of the ammunition is held, this being in the outside yard part of the warehouse. Once killing everybody and getting the ammo, you drive your way to McFarlane's ranch. Once fully making it there, the mission ends. Now that everything's in place, they can take on Fort Mercer. The plan to get inside is to pretend that Dickens is trying to sell some of his elixir. Once inside, he puts on a facade to try to sell all of his products. This makes everybody in the fort try to see what is happening, allowing John Marston to mow everybody down in one foul swoop. After everybody is dead on the main floor, the marshals come in to help clean up what the machine gun can't. After killing all the enemies, you regroup back up with the marshal. He explains that everybody is dead, but there's no sign of Bill Williamson. And while talking to him, Dickens comes in and says there's many reinforcements coming abroad. You then once again hop in the submachine gun and take all the enemies out. Once everybody's dead, you go back inside of Fort Mercer. One of Bill's gang members is captured alive and he says he ran off to Mexico. John explains to everybody that he's trying to find a former gang member named Javier Escuella. Irish also explains to John that he can take him to Mexico. We then finally get another trophy for completing this part of the story. Now you have to meet up with Irish so he can take you into Mexico. Before going on, John wonders if this is a good idea. Dickens says to John that Irish is very well connected, and also says to John that getting to Mexico is just as simple as heading downstream. Irish and John then start making their way over to Mexico. Right before they make it there, they get ambushed from the other side. They then have to float and fight their way until they can reach land. Once making it to land, John then asks Irish if he actually has connections in Mexico. He says he might have got Canada and Mexico confused, and the last time he was here, he might have got thrown out of the country. And because of this, like usual, he needs to leave John Marston alone. John now heads to a place called Chuparosa. Why he's coming here so he can get more information on Bill and Javier Escuella. But once going there, he is hassled by some of the locals of Chuparosa. When asked to take off his boots, John Marston then shoots them all. This grabs the attention of the man in the background named Linde. He back in the day was a pretty well known outlaw who retired in Mexico. Basically in retirement he helps the people of Chuparosa. After talking about why John is here, one of the residents need help. One of their wagons is under attack, so both John and Landon go and try to find it. They find the wagon along with some hostages. They kill all the enemies, bringing back the wagon, ending the mission. The next day you make your way to the bar to meet up with Landon. He met people who saw Javier Escuella in Mexico not too long ago, but after asking if they know Bill Williamson's with them, they don't know. Landon also explains that the man that they're talking to's sister was taken and he needs his help. She's held in a cave that's heavily guarded. After sneaking through the main entrance, you then start fighting all the enemies inside. You then find where she's being held and blast the door open. Landon picks Louise up and brings her out the cave. You then fight your way up the canyon, bringing Louise to safety. Once getting back from saving Louise, you join Landon in a game of poker. After winning your first hand, this guy beside you says that you're cheating. He pulls a gun on you, causing an old-fashioned standoff. This Mueller guy then suggests that they have a duel and whoever wins takes the pot. You agree and also win quite easily. When enjoying a drink with Landon, Louise comes in and says that some prisoners have been taken. Usually this wouldn't be such a big deal, but this time it was the government's doing. This being viewed as unlawful by the citizens, this makes John and Landon go and help. You find the wagon that's transporting all the prisoners and take everybody out surrounding it. This allows you to hijack it and free everybody that's held inside. You then say goodbye to Landon Ricketts because this is the last mission you two will have with each other. John now rides to a place called Escuella. The reason why he's doing this is because he wants more information on Bill and Javier Escuella. After making it there, you meet up with the captain of the Mexican army named Vincent de Santa. You ask him if he has any information on Bill Williamson or Javier Escuella. He explains that he doesn't, but he might know where they are. De Santa himself is trying to find another outlaw named Abraham Reyes. De Santos throws out the possibility that all three of them are fighting alongside each other. De Santos explains to John Marston that they're trying to lure Reyes into a trap as they speak. He then offers for John to come with them just in case they find one of the people he's looking for while doing it. You ride alongside De Santo and his army to a train station in Chuparosa. The reason why you need to go to a train station is because there was word of Reyes' men taking over a train. You have to follow and fight off enemies until you reach Caso Mardograda. I don't think I said that right. Anyways, once it makes it to the station, you celebrate with De Santos and his army. But while celebrating, Reyes' men take it over. De Santos then explains to John that most of his men are too hammered to continue, so John has to stop the train by himself. After killing all the enemies and hopping on, you narrowly stop it from its own destruction. It also breaks a bridge, making the journey back from Mexico later on very annoying. You make your way back to the person you saved named Luis. She's trying to get your help because she wants her family to flee the country. This is because there's a revolution about to happen in Mexico. She also explains that De Santa's army isn't very nice to people who want change. She also notes that Abraham Reyes is their only savior. John then wonders if there's anything else that he can help with. Luis then says that you can help by taking her sister to a boat near the border. While on the way, you get hit by a check stop by the Mexican army. Once getting caught, you shoot them and make your way straight to the border. On your way there, you have to fight even more enemies and keep your eye on the time. As you probably can guess, if the timer in the top middle hits 0, the mission ends. However, it didn't happen to me because I brought her back in time. I also got the only missable trophy in this game for completing 20 missions with the same horse. John now makes his way back to De Santa. Once making it there, you see De Santa talking to his own leader named Augusta Allende. He's not very happy on how De Santa is dealing with the rebels, thinking that they should have been dealt with a long time ago. He then tasks John and De Santa to go and clean them out. Once going to the location, you see that De Santa's men have already made it there. The reason why you need to be there is to help the army take out a rebel base. Once you take out all the enemies and also the non-threats, you burn the place down. After you're done with that, you make your way back to De Santa. He explains that his men have been betrayed, and he explains afterwards they'll find Bill and Javier Escuella. What you need to do first is help the army take out a big outpost. After all the enemies are taken out, John then asks De Santa where Bill and Javier Escuella are. He explains once him and his men are done with their mission, he'll meet him back up in Escuella. But before we go there, we shift our focus over to Luis. Once meeting back up with her, you realize that her house has been burnt down and her husband has been taken. This is where we learn that her husband is the rebel leader named Abraham Reyes. John agrees to help Luis and get him back. The only problem is he's held in a highly guarded fort named El Presidio. Once getting in, you sneak to a vantage point where you can get eyes on Reyes. After taking out all the enemies, you make your way down. After you find and cut Reyes down, you escape on your horse, bringing him to a meetup spot with Luis. And for some reason during this cutscene, my horse thought it was a good idea to go for a swim. This was the last time I ever saw this horse ever again. What the hell happened to my horse? Did he actually die in that cutscene? Are you kidding me? Anyways, we make our way over to Escuella to continue on with the story. Once again, DeSanta needs help guiding his army. The reward for helping in this mission is 20,000 pesos and also location of Javier Escuella. All you need to do in this mission is help defend a wagon and also a train. Once the train reaches the top of the map, the mission ends. John now makes his way to Escuella to see where the location of Javier Escuella is. The leader Augustin Allende says that his men have captured him and are holding him in Chuparosa. And he says once John and DeSanta get over there, he can do whatever he wants to him, allowing John to kill him or take him to prison. Once in Chuparosa, you enter the church and find that nobody's there. One of DeSanta's men then strikes you, effectively knocking you out. You wake up captured and DeSanta explains to you that you betrayed them. He knows that you freed Abraham Reyes. Right before John gets shot, DeSanta and his men get ambushed by the rebels. This lets John get free and fight against them. You then have to take down the Mexican army along with Captain Espinoza. And ironically, once I killed him, I got the trophy for 250 headshot kills. After killing Captain Espinoza, it ends the mission. I then made my way back to Luis. You learn that her father was killed by the Mexican army, and because of this she wants to destroy one of their convoys, and how you're gonna kill them is by igniting dynamite from underneath them. Once the dynamite has exploded and all the remaining enemies are dead, the mission ends. You then make it to the same camp and realize that everybody is leaving. Luis then explains that DeSanta has been spotted near a graveyard. You then travel there with the other rebels to kill him once and for all. You then take out all of his bodyguards and then capture DeSanta. You then interrogate him and ask him where Javier Escuella is. He explains that he's being held up in Casa Marta Grata. John then throws DeSanta on the ground and you're given the option to kill him or give him to the rebels. Then you ride to Casa Marta Grata to see if Javier Escuella is actually there. And shocker, Javier Escuella hasn't been here in many months. All that is there is some of the Mexican army left behind by DeSanta. Afterwards you go and meet up with Abraham Reyes. He needs help infiltrating the enemy train station located in Chuparosa. The reason why you're doing this is because the Mexican army is transporting all of the resources at once. After making it to the train station, Abraham realizes that there's more enemies than they thought. Abraham then steals one of their horses so John can get on the train much easier. Once you do sneak onto the train, you get control of the submachine gun and start blasting away at everybody. You then go and take control of the train and meet up with the rebels. After the train is fully stripped of all of its resources, including you cracking a vault, the mission ends. John then meets up with Abraham Reyes in his own home. And in here, Abraham Reyes says that he knows the location of Javier Escuella, and he already made plans with his men to go and siege the fort that he's held up in. How they're going to breach the wall of this fort is by filling a wagon with dynamite, and for some reason this might be the hardest thing you have to do in this game. This is because once you jump off, the horses go in a random direction. After like the 7th time, I actually finally got it. This explosion breaches the wall, allowing the rebels to get in. John takes out most of the enemies before he goes after Javier. Once all the enemies are dead, he goes after Javier and finds him in the barracks. These two talk for a little bit before Javier pushes a box, making a diversion for himself. He makes his way out of the fort, so John has to follow him on his horse. Once you catch up to him, you shoot him, effectively killing Javier Escuella. You then return back to the fort and put Javier's body in the jail. More reinforcements come, so you have to help Abraham Reyes defend them. Once all the reinforcements are killed, you bring Javier Escuella's body back to Edgar Ross. This completes the mission, also giving us a trophy for killing Javier Escuella. John then makes his way to Escuella to see that Abraham Reyes' men try to take it over, and as you probably could guess, it didn't work. Abraham Reyes was captured by Adelina's men. John Marston tries to reason with them to let him go, but before he could do so, Luis tries to kill them with a knife. This leads John to kill all the army men and free Abraham Reyes. Abraham Reyes also tells you that Bill Williamson is also with Adelina. Once you knock down the door and enter his house, he isn't there. The two of them escape through the back door through a stagecoach. Before they get too far, you and Abraham Reyes catch up to the stagecoach, stopping it. Adelina then tries to sell Bill Williamson so he doesn't get killed, but this doesn't work and both Bill Williamson and Adelina get shot. With the death of Adelina, this means Abraham Reyes is now the leader of the Mexican army, and because we killed Adelina and Bill Williamson, we get another trophy. This is also the last mission you'll have to do in Mexico. Now John has to make his way all the way to Blackwater. This is so he can confirm his kill on Bill Williamson with Edgar Ross. Once entering the bureau, John Marston asks where his family is. The agents explain that there's a new development on another former gang member named Dutch Vanderlyn, and they also explain if he doesn't want to do this, he'll just kill his family, making John Marston finding himself stuck at square one once again. On the other hand, they also have a lead on where Dutch's last location was, and they think that he and his army is still there. While exploring this place, you find a boat that seems to be empty. Once entering inside, you hear a noise at the top of the boat. You find a native guy named Nassus tied to a chair. After untying him, some of Dutch's crew comes and tries to kill you. You have to kill them while carrying Nassus. You make it to the agent's car to try to make an escape, but on your way your car shuts down at the exact same time that Dutch's men find you. You fight all of them off and then make your way into the car. After making your way back to Blackwater, you bring Nassus to a doctor. His name is McDougal, and he also kinda is a heroin addict. So basically he's like if Kurt Cobain, instead of doing music, went and got a degree in medicine medicine. The next day you make your way back to McDougal's office. This is because you need to ask Nastia if he has any information on Dutch Vanderland's location. After he wakes up, you ask him and he says that he's located in the hills. So you, Nastius, and McDougal all go to the mountains in the north. And once you find Dutch's base, McDougal pulls out, something that Jake Paul's parents should have done a long time ago. So John Marston and Nastius continue on without him. And while on your way, you find a rogue hillbilly hiding in the mountains. Before he was killed, stabbed Nastius in the arm, making him not able to continue. So John continues to climb the mountain by himself. Once making it to the top, you kill this dude and steal his binoculars. You peer inside of the camp and see that Dutch Vanderland is killing a policeman. Dutch then looks up and shoots John Marston right in the binoculars. This makes John pass out and wake up with Nastius and McDougal staring at him. McDougal explains that after the shot was heard by Nastius, he climbed up and saved him. After this cutscene is finished, we get our trophy for finding Dutch. Also in the last mission, I got 500 kills with a rifle. In the next mission, you make your way over to Edgar Ross. He got some intel that Dutch Vanderland is going to pay a visit to his old bank manager. This leads to John Marston and the Bureau staking out on top of a roof. Once they see one of Dutch's men shoot all the workers, they also shoot them. This starts a big sniper battle until most of Dutch's men are killed. This leads John Marston to go inside the bank to try and kill Dutch. Once entering a room upstairs, you see Dutch with 2 hostages. This leads to a big stalemate between the 2 factions. After a little bit of dialogue, Dutch shoots the woman in front of him and gets away. John and the Bureau then follow Dutch into the forest. After you make it further into the forest, you find Dutch's men. You fight and kill all of them, but at the end there's no sign of Dutch. You then get a cutscene with Edgar Ross ending the mission. You then make your way back to McDougal's office. After listening to one of his cocaine-filled rants, you accompany him with Nastius. Nastius set up a meeting with the other native people in Dutch's crew, and after going in there and talking to him for a little bit, Nastius gets killed. John then kills the others in the cabin, and him and McDougal have to fight their way out. After the both of them make it back to Blackwater, McDougal tries to leave, and when he's trying to explain why he's leaving, somebody shoots through his window, and this mysterious shooter is quickly to be learned as Dutch. He wasn't too thrilled that you killed most of his men, so in return he's gonna kill you and McDougal. Not wanting to die, McDougal and John make their way to the rooftops. Dutch already had this idea in mind, so he placed some of his men on top of the other roofs. After all the enemies are dead, McDougal and John run across the rooftops. The 2 of them then run away to Manzanita Post. This mission ends with McDougal getting his wish of going on a train and running away. You then once again make it back to Edgar Ross. He explains that they're gonna go after Dutch once and for all, and since John has absolutely no say in what he does nowadays, he has to go with them. John's job in this entire crusade is to man the turret, mostly because if John gets killed they don't really care, and he also has prior experience because of Fort Mercer. After taking out waves of enemies in this tank, you make your way into the forest. You actually make it about 2 meters inside before getting blown up. Somehow nobody in that tank died, so you and the army move on. The new plan is to ride on horseback into Dutch's lair. Once making it to the base of the fort, you breach it by dynamite. Once getting in, you take out what remains of Dutch's gang, which once again has John operating another submachine gun. Once all of those enemies are taken out, you once again find yourself at a wall that needs to be destroyed. Once the wall explodes, the other men with you are injured, so John has to go after Dutch by himself. This is also where I'll mention that Dutch also has his own submachine gun. All you need to do to disarm it is by shooting the lanterns, causing fire to engulf it. You then make your way up to the burning platform that Dutch was on. You then have to chase Dutch while he's talking to you. This ends with the 2 of them being stuck on the side of the mountain with each other. After these 2 see each other, they put their guns away. After these 2 meet, John then asks him if he turned himself in. Dutch then explains that this goes against all the things that he wanted, and that he's been running so long, it's almost in his nature. He also explains that once he's gone, they'll go after the next biggest person, meaning his death will kickstart another person's own demise. Dutch then famously takes his own life, freeing John. At the bottom of the hill, Edgar Ross meets up with John and explains where his family is being held, also freeing John from the punishment of the Bureau. Now that John is free, he can finally go back and see his family. This being his wife Abigail, his son Jack, and uncle who's not related to any of them. The missions in the game now mirror what you had to do in McFarlane's ranch. Some of the stuff you have to do around the ranch is herding cows, hunting with Jack, and also taming horses. And while doing these missions, I got 2 random trophies. The first one is sadly for killing all the buffalo in the game. This sounds hard to do, but there's only 20 in the whole game, and they also don't respawn. And the next trophy I got was for killing every single type of animal in the game. There are 38 different species in the game that you need to kill. And ironically, the last one I needed to kill is actually a seagull. Unfortunately, every good thing has to come to an end. While talking to his son Jack, the same bureau that freed him has now come to kill him. Edgar Ross successfully lied to John. He was never going to be free or have his family back. The only certainty was he was going to die either way. Even after his own redemption, his past still haunts him. While fending off the family on the deck, Uncle gets shot and dies. John then covers the family while they make their way into the stables. Jack and Abigail then get on a horse and leave. John knows he can't go with them because his agony will never stop. If he leaves, it won't just be him dead, but his family. He needs to redeem himself for his family's own freedom. He then takes one last stand against the Bureau and dies. John Marston never gave up, but he gave too, giving a better life to his son Jack, also knowing in his mind that everything that he has done in the past has been redeemed, giving himself his own redemption. After hearing the gunshots, Abigail and Jack come back to the ranch. They see what remains of John Marston. We cut back many years later and we see Jack at Abigail and John's tombstones. For the rest of the game, and for the rest of the 100%, we have to now play as Jack Marston. His questline has you tracking down Edgar Ross. How he does this is by asking around Blackwater where he is. Since the main game was such a long time ago, he is now retired living on Lake Don Julio. After making it there, you find his wife and ask her where he is. She explains he's on a hunting trip near Rio del Taro. You make it to Rio del Taro and find his brother. You ask him where Edgar Ross is and he points you in the right direction. Jack then sees Edgar Ross and explains why he's there, claiming that he made his dad do all of his dirty work just to kill him. Edgar then explains he'll kill him like a dog just like he did with his father. You finally put Edgar Ross to rest, avenging John. And for doing this, you get 2 trophies. The first one is for just killing Edgar Ross, and the second one is for completing a stranger mission. Now that we're done the main story, we have to work on the 100% and all the random trophies that we'll need. And on the screen is everything that will be needed for the 100%. Now let's go through all the miscellaneous trophies that we'll need for this platinum. The first trophy I got was for skinning 18 bears. Getting a ringer on horseshoe that took me an hour and 30 minutes. Many times I'd throw it on it and it would ring, but it wouldn't count.
Oh my god, I did it.
This one's for winning 2,000 chips in a game of poker. An easy way to do this is going to the high roller table and going all in once you see your hand. This should make everybody in the table fold. Next one's for buying the elegant suit at the tailor. Now we get to one of the hardest trophies in the game. Well, it actually isn't unless you're stupid like me. For this trophy, you need to play Liar's Eye without losing a single one of your dice. Let's just say I wasn't very good at this. It got so bad I had to search on YouTube how to even play this game. After many attempts, I finally knew what I was doing and got it. Then I thought it was a good idea to do the Axe Mastery Trophy, and just like the dice game, this one was annoying, mostly for the one challenge where you need to hit a bird out of the sky with a tomahawk. It is very demoralizing chasing a hawk down with tomahawks and missing 9 of them, but a singular time I got lucky and actually hit it. Then the next challenge you have to do is take out a fort with tomahawks. This sounds way harder than it actually is. It's especially easy if you go to Twin Rocks because somebody else helps you. The next trophy is just for completing the 2 other hideouts in this area. Then I did the 10 sharpshooter challenges. I'll just quickly go through all the trophies that are self-explanatory. Capturing a bounty alive, buying and using all the maps, earn a total of $10,000 while playing the game, acquiring all the rare weapons from all the gunsmiths. This is for getting the highest level of honor and fame. This is for taming the Kentucky Saddler, the American Standard, and also the Hungarian Half-Breed. Replaying a mission and getting a gold medal. Score a headshot on any enemy using the expert targeting mode. Clearing out all the gang hideouts in Mexico. Getting 500 kills with pistols and revolvers. Knocking somebody out in every single saloon in the game. This one was actually quite annoying. Finishing 15 different stranger missions. This one is for completing another challenge, that being the boomstick. This trophy is for using a pardon letter over a bounty of $5,000, which fun fact is actually equivalent to $162,000 in today's money. Now here's an interesting one, there is a trophy for O.J. Simpson. Now you don't have to kill your wife or anything like that, you just have to run away on a horse. And then right after doing that trophy, I brutally murdered some woman on the train tracks. You place her down very gently and wait for the next train to come by. The last thing I needed for the 100% was doing the last hunting challenge. After I skinned this bear, I was granted the 100% of the base game of Red Dead Redemption. Since we got the base game done, we have to move on to Undead Nightmare. For anybody who doesn't know this, because I'm playing the remastered version of Red Dead Redemption, I also have to play the DLC for the Platinum. This DLC is pretty short and it only took me 6 hours to get the 100%. The storyline of this game is pretty easy because it's basically just The Walking Dead if it was in Red Dead Redemption. The story kicks off as you as John Marston in the family house, and while sleeping you see Uncle walk into your room looking more weirder than usual. He then chases Abigail into the outside and bites her. John then sees this and slams out Uncle. John absolutely did not have to do this, but I'm pretty sure he just wanted to. Jack, being the simpleton that he is, just saw his mom get bit and he was like, let's go and help her. This leads to him getting bit and the 2 of them turning into zombies. John then lassos them up and throws them in the house, making sure they don't escape. John then throws all of his stuff on and heads to Blackwater so he can find some answers. Once making it to Blackwater, you realize that the infection is here also. You find McDougal and ask him what the hell is happening. McDougal explains he also doesn't know, but he wants to get the hell out of here. And while running back to his office to get one of his bags, he gets slammed out by Nassius. I then lasso Nassius up and went to look for more survivors. You find a woman and she asks you for some reason to burn down a graveyard. These graveyards are kind of like the main bases of the dead, and you'll have to destroy all of them for the 100% later on. Once destroying the graveyard, you have to make your way back into Blackwater. This is where we have to save our first town. This is the main thing you have to do besides the main storyline. There's also a trophy for saving every single town at once. I personally recommend saving all the towns after you unlock Mexico. This is because you'll get to the end of the main missions and the first towns you saved will come undead again. Anyways, enough of me yapping. After you save Blackwater, you get a trophy. This DLC unfortunately is pretty repetitive. You'll save a town, go to the next town, and save it over again. The only difference is you meet new characters in different towns. I'm just kidding, the only new character you meet is a new nun. Realistically, it doesn't even matter because all nuns look the same. And sorry if I sound sick for the next part, is because I am. Of course, I leave my basement for one singular day and I get sick. Anyways, you meet up with Seth playing a game of poker with Moses. The one problem is Moses is an undead. After John quickly moves past this, he then asks Seth what the hell is happening. This is because this is basically like Seth's fantasy. And that if somebody's to blame with this, it would be him. Seth says he has nothing to do with this, and if he wanted this to happen, he would have done this a long time ago. After talking to Seth, I made my way north to do a side quest. You find this man and his daughter, and he asks you to help him hunt Sasquatch. And instead of just killing one, you kill a whole lot of them. This has John talking to the last Sasquatch remaining. This Sasquatch then explains to John that he killed his family for no reason, and that they don't eat humans, and they don't actually eat meat in general, and that they're actually herbivores, and most of their diet contains berries. John then says he's sorry and spares the last Sasquatch. And while doing this side quest, I got a trophy for killing your first Sasquatch. I'm gonna skip most of the story because it sounds and it feels like I'm dying. And at this pace, it'll take me another 30 minutes to finish this video. After taking all the graveyards in New Austin, you make your way back to Seth. Once made it there, you tell him that all the graveyards are taken out and he asks him what's next. He explains you're gonna have to do the exact same thing over in Mexico. After finishing this creepy ass conversation with Seth, you get a trophy. Then you make your way to West Dickens to see how you can get to Mexico. He explains that he knows there's an army train leaving in a couple of hours. So you get an army outfit and make your way into Mexico. Once making it into Mexico, I made it my mission to save all the towns before doing any of the main missions. This is so I can get every single town saved at once, giving myself the trophy. After getting that trophy, I went to Las Hermanas and met up with a nun. Her being a woman of God wants to know what's happening. So she makes you kidnap one of the undead to do experiments on it. She splashes holy water on the undead to see if it will come back. And after doing so, it does for a split second and then dies. She then explains to John that her faith isn't as powerful as it could be, and that she'll need to think on what to do. I then ran around taking out more graveyards and then I came back. She explained some info that she got that the new president Abraham Reyes has caused this curse. This is because he stole an ancient relic that was in possession of an ancient god. And the only way to get rid of this curse is by bringing back the relic back to the temple it was stolen from. And then once you're done talking, you get a trophy for finishing this mission. After hearing this new information, you make your way to Escuella. You find what remains of Abraham Reyes, and shortly after meeting with him, you put him out of his misery. Shortly after killing him, you ask the lady there what she knows about the relic. She explains she has it and also where Abraham Reyes found it, that being from an ancient temple from underneath the building that they're standing in. John then makes his way into the temple and places the relic where it came from. This effectively ends the curse and makes everybody return back to normal. The DLC ends with John coming back to his family and reuniting with them. That's until Seth steals a mask once again, making John Marston rise from the ashes. Once gaining back control of John Marston, you get the trophy for finishing the main storyline of the DLC. Now we just need to get all the random trophies and the 100%. The first trophy I got was for killing 500 enemies on a turret or a submachine gun. The easy way to do this was using the turret at El Presidio. Zombies will just spawn outside and you'll just kill them over and over again. The next two trophies are finding the rare animals in the game, this being the chupacabra and the unicorn. These two animals also took me 2.5 hours to find.
Oh my god! Oh, yes, 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 oh my god. Oh, finally. Is that it? Oh my god, back to back? Bang. Back to back.
Now the last 3 trophies popped at the exact same time. These trophies are for getting rank 5 in all Undead Nightmare challenges, attaining the 100%, and also finally, the Platinum. Thank you to everybody who watched this video to the end. I'm very sorry that it sounds like a porcupine is molesting my vocal cords. I had a lot of fun playing this game and going for the platinum. I recommend anybody who has this game to fully complete it. I'm signing off. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day.